Fields of Mistria is better than Stardew Valley. Wait, I know, don't click off the video. I'm not here to be a hater. I know how much everyone loves Stardew. I know. I used to be one of you. Look at my credentials. Look how many hours I put in this game. Although, Fields of Mistria is getting up there. This video is for you. You! The diehard Stardew fan who's ready to jump into my comments and eviscerate me and tell me that I'm an idiot who hates fun and that I should just let people enjoy things. I know. I hear you. I love fun. I'm a fun lover. I'm a big fun guy. My motivation here is not to say that Stardew is terrible and that Fields of Mistria is so much better, but I'm kind of saying it was literally the first thing that I said, but I promise I can prove it to you. Here are some disclaimers just to get out of the way, because I've seen the comments on every video comparing these two games, and I've heard it all and I know. Stardew Valley was made by one person, and Fields of Mistria was made by a team of people. You're right, it's not fair to compare the work of a single person to the work of an entire team of people. It's a lot easier to make a good game when you have help. If you weren't aware, the creators of Fields of Mistria, they were the creators of Pusheen, the cat, so they had more resources to invest into this project than, comparatively, Eric Broen would have when he was first starting out and doing this part-time. However, I don't think the comparison is unfounded. Let's pit two bad bitches against each other. When I see people talking about cozy games, I've started seeing Fields of Mistria being lumped together with a bunch of low-effort Stardew copycats for clickbait. It's really hard for farming sims to come out nowadays without that comparison because, to an extent, yeah, a lot of them are taking the idea ConcernedApe brought back to life and putting their own spin on it, however badly. But you put Fields of Mistria on that list? I'm really starting to worry that people are dismissing it just on that brief comparison alone. Like, oh, it's just Stardew Valley. It's a Stardew Valley copycat. Why would I want to play another farming sim? I already have Stardew Valley. But have you considered that it could be your new favorite farming sim? A big part of the creative process is being inspired by gaps you see in the things you love. Think of how fanfiction is birthed from the motivation to fill in the missing pieces of a piece of media that you really enjoy. It's a story that's really near and dear to your heart, but there's elements of it that you want to see expanded or improved, or people who play their favorite game and think, oh, I'd love being able to do this in this game, but I wish I could do this too. Or the mechanics of this game would add something interesting to this game. That's how new things are made. Good artists take homage from the things that inspired them. Your favorite movie or book or game or show is built upon the filled gaps of media the creator loved. Sometimes it's motivation to improve it, seeing flaws in something they want to be perfect. Sometimes we like the things that we love just as they are, and we want to play around in the space that's created by them. I don't personally know anybody at NPC Studio. I can't tell you how they feel about Stardew Valley or if they've even played it. That would be a crazy coincidence if no one's played it. But I can see the gaps that they wanted to fill in Stardew Valley in the way that Fields of Mistria presents itself. Hate walking the long way around the lake in Stardew? You can swim in it in Mistria. Think it's frustrating that your items disappear in Stardew? They stay where you left them forever in Mistria. Mistria takes every minor inconvenience that came with the limitations of being a solo developer on his first big game and adds quality of life features that were needed in that original Stardew release. Story and message. Beyond mechanics, the story presented in Mistria is supported by its gameplay. You're the only farmer in town, just like in Stardew. You have access to materials that other characters don't, so as a result, you're the one they rely on to collect stuff for the town when stuff needs to get built, not unlike the community center in Stardew. The difference that Mistria presents is that your role, instead of a lone entrepreneur making your way in an unjust system, is that you are a valuable member of equal importance to anyone else in the community. Raina is a chef at the local inn run by her parents Josephine and Hemlock. The inn provides not only a third space for the entire town to gather every Friday night, but also houses the wayward merchant Baylor, who imports goods between towns. Island, the local archaeologist, sports Errol to sustain museum collection and garner income from tourism. Celine's family runs a general store, and Hayden runs a farm neighboring yours to keep the town stocked with food. Rias and his uncle work with Ulrich and March to build the houses where everyone lives and works. The only people without a job are those retired who work when they want to, not because they they have to, and the children who are free to play when they're not being educated by their parents, and the still locked, as of this point in early access, local schoolhouse. Fields of Mistria begins when a small town, in the wake of a natural disaster, comes together to rebuild its infrastructure and thrive through collaboration. The most powerful people in this world are just as much members of the community as they are leaders with influence. Adeline is royalty, but she acts more like a community organizer than a powerful ruler. She participates in grassroots action, working with the other members of her town to make progress that benefits everyone. The neighbors that welcome you into town provide you with food, shelter, and offer you an opportunity to contribute to the economy they are sustaining together. It's democratic socialism at its finest. When you play Fields of Mistria, you are encouraged to take your time, pace yourself, because if you don't get something done today, the world won't fall apart without your effort. There is enough of a social safety net, enough people taking their fair share and dividing the load, that if you needed a rest, you can take one. You get the feeling that if you, the player, weren't around, this town would do fine without you. And I think that's okay. The community these characters have built is strong. They will get through this earthquake recovery. You're just here to help them along. It's the least you can do after they offered you a whole farm without batting an eye. In Stardew, your role in the game feels quite the opposite. Your arrival and success is crucial to the success of the town. If you don't help them, this town is getting bought out by Joja, and you'll be to blame for Shane's declining mental health. What kind of world are we escaping to when we boot up Stardew Valley? We are an overworked, underpassionate cog in the capitalism machine. And with the magic of nepotism, we are granted land to possess and mold however we wish to. On its surface, Stardew is anti-capitalist. Big business bad, yeah, of course. But the solution Stardew offers is small business good. Which, yeah, it is. It's better than a monopoly, of course. When the farmer is able to help Pam with her home and show Linus kindness, it's clear that this protagonist has their heart in the right place and will do what they can to change what little they can. We can't start housing programs in our government to ensure homelessness doesn't threaten Linus. We can't provide substance abuse care programs to help the town impoverished by alcoholism. But we can be kind to our neighbors. We can provide monetary support to individuals in need. Through the power of the money we earn throughout the game, our farmer is able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, take back control from the man, and bring back life to a small town suffering from the harmful effects of big business. We're the hero of our own crippling circumstances when we name our new farm and grow an empire of starfruit manufacturing. It's empowering. It's an escapist fantasy, and we love it. You are the lone hero who arrives to town to help the less fortunate. And that's noble, sure, but what would have happened if you weren't there? These people sure are lucky you decided to boot up this game. It is a power fantasy. And that speaks to an element of Stardew Valley that is kind of omnipresent, like in the back of my mind the entire time I play this game. It's something that Fields of Mistria doesn't have. Meta and diegetic patriarchy. Let's talk more about this power fantasy in Stardew Valley. There is a glaring issue with having only one person create an entire piece by themselves, the way that Barone did when making Stardew Valley. The person's social biases bleed through certain aspects of the work. And I need to be clear, I hate the gender essentialist rhetoric that's being thrown around like less and less ironically lately. Around specifically the topic of men, the generalization of like, oh, he's a man, he can't do like that well, why would you expect emotional intelligence and all this, like as if a person's mistakes are expected or excused just because of their gender. I really dislike that kind of mentality. But I'm not an idiot. I know that we live under patriarchy. And patriarchy is very good at socializing people it perceives as men in a very specific way. And I know that as a straight cisgendered man, at least as far as I have heard, I don't believe that has changed, Eric Barone's storytelling and perceptions of gender stem from this identity. Now I know it's great that you can change your gender in Stardew Valley. I don't believe this feature was available upon its initial release, which kind of further proves my point that Barone didn't really consider that people might want to change their gender or not want to be either male or female, and not maliciously, but it was definitely like he didn't even consider it. So I'm glad that he's updated that since then, and that you can marry anyone. It's great progress that we have made as a society, that we are able to, in a mainstream game, be gay. It's awesome, regardless of their gender. Although gender does play a role in how you interact with this world, and Mistria does fix this problem by removing gender from the equation entirely, which is the correct answer, and I think more should lean into that. So, a big part of manhood under patriarchy is the idea that a hero, a man, can conquer injustice by being strong enough on his own. Strength and power, in the example of Stardew Valley, would be then the amount of money that you earn from farming and foraging and mining. Because of this resource that you've collected, all this money that you have, the materials to rebuild the community center, you are able to then strengthen the town and boot out Joja. And I'm not saying that Barone had this like well planned out patriarchal like agenda that he wanted to push. It's likely that this element was entirely subconscious. And since we've already established that Barone's critique of capitalism is borderline libertarian, there's nothing more patriarchal than thinking that everything would be better if things were done your way, if you could do your thing without restriction. It's clear that this fantasy is the dream of a straight man under capitalism, a straight white man under capitalism, who believes that if he works hard enough and follows his own path, he can escape the system. Not defeat the system, mind you. Like, the system will still exist and still impoverish people and still take advantage of anybody who hasn't been gifted a farm or provided the same opportunities that you have. And you can be benevolent and share your wealth with them, of course, but that relies on you being a good person. That relies on you wanting to help. It's a very paternal, like, breadwinner mentality and view of success. I have now won this game because I can provide for my family, the townspeople. All bow down to the almighty daddy farmer. I've saved you from evil daddy Joja. And I actually believe that this subconscious narrative is exactly why we see, I think it plays a factor in why we see so many men really enjoy Stardew Valley. As we know, similar titles in the farming sim genre, specifically like cozy game genre, target female audiences in their marketing and have a large female player base, Fields of Mistria included. With Stardew Valley, there's a sense of conquering that game allows you. You're encouraged to grow, expand, overtake, and lead. It's a colonist's fantasy. And I don't think Concerned Ape realized that when he thought up what his dream reality would be when he made this fun farming sim game. In the same way that Barone's ideal world sees himself as the one in charge, the perfect queens for his kingdom would, of course, fit his specific idea of beauty. Misogyny in character design. Let's be superficial for a second and talk about character design exclusively. You need to convey something about the way that they are through how the audience perceives them, through their expressions, their poses, how they do their hair, what they wear, even if you want them to be a subversion of those expectations. We're going to compare the character designs of these sprites in the two games. Since we don't see as much of the Stardew girls' bodies as we do the Mistria girls, there won't be other elements like outfit design and pose to work with. So to keep things fair, let's crop the Mistria girls from the collarbone up so we get the same amount of visual information. If you didn't know anything about these characters, what would your first impressions of them be? What kind of person are they? We get Valen. I would say she's analytical, discerning, intelligent. We have Celine. She appears kind and modest and put together. We have Adeline. She's proud, determined, motivated. We have Raina. She's friendly, welcoming, humble. With Juniper, we got bold, powerful, maybe a little mean in a hot way. These women have their personalities shining through their character designs. At a glance, you can tell exactly who these people are, which cannot be said of the Stardew Valley girls. We got Haley. She's blonde, okay, fine. She's looking directly at us, so maybe she's a bit bolder than the other girls. Maybe that was a factor. Emily, she looks fun, you know? She's kind of quirky with that, like, blue hair, the wild blue hair. Maru, like, okay, she's got glasses, so she's the smart one. Anything else about her? Let's move on. We got Leah. Okay, yeah, she's nice. She looks kind. I don't know, she's got a braid, so maybe she cares about her appearance the way that Celine does. Yeah, I don't know. She's just kind of smiling serenely at us. There's not a lot of life behind those eyes. We got Abigail. Okay, she's got a choker and like purple hair, so maybe she's like the edgy, cooler one. She's kind of got the same expression as Leah. I don't know, she's maybe kind and nice too. Wow, they really do look pretty similar. Okay, let's move on. We got Penny and wait a fucking second. Do you understand? When all the women are supposed to be hot before they're supposed to be people, they lose any defining characteristics that would convey their personhood. I can't tell that Leah is an artist. or that Abigail is in a band with the only other character that actually has crazy hair. Give Abigail the spiked mullet, you coward. And they all look as maternally kind as Penny because they've all got her damn face. But let's take it a step further just to prove my point and do this exact exercise with the men of Stardew Valley. You can immediately tell that Alex is cocky, Shane's a burnout, Sebastian's edgy, Sam's fun, Harvey's nerdy, and Elliot's a snob. He's sensitive. I know there's some Elliot stands in my comments. I'll let you be. Are they cliched personality tropes? Yes, but those personalities aren't just pretty. I don't believe Eric Barone is attracted to men. A fault in its own right, I know. And the proof is in the pudding. There's a reason why Sebastian is everyone's favorite. Harvey's a runner-up, and Barone had to add in Shane as a supplemental option because he didn't think people would like him enough to even want to date him. People love Shane. People love a little sad, depressed man. It's wild. I still have beef with Sam's hair. Are you, like, what the hell? What about this design did you think was going to get us going, Mr. Barone? It was easy for Barone to design the women of his game because he's attracted to them. This is another limitation of being a solo developer. You only have your own preferences to go off of, and you're making educated guesses at the rest. As Patriarchy teaches us, something happens to artists when they subconsciously see men as people and women as potential wives. The bachelors can be gruff-looking, odd, goofy, overweight, quirky, and the occasional pretty boy. But the women that you can date must have big pretty eyes, full lips, long hair, and be thin. All fitting the Western standards of beauty that Patriarchy relies on. Because heaven forbid, you have to compromise looks because you like her personality. I have to look at Sam's awful hair just because I wanted a rock star. How is that fair? Why can't you like men, Eric? Just start liking boys. Monogamy. We all know that monogamy is a prison. I'm just kidding. One of the best improvements Fields of Mistria has made to the mainstream farming sim genre is the ability to date multiple people. Now, you can't marry more than one person, but I think that's more of a limitation of gameplay mechanic and not for lack of want of many beautiful husbands. As a game developer, it sounds like a bit of a nightmare to program proper polygamy into a game. Like, and then what if I don't just want to marry multiple husbands? What if I want those husbands to actually marry each other? And like, that's a lot of variables with a lot of unique dialogue options, like combinations of relationship dynamics, and it's just like I can understand why they wouldn't want to include that, at least not on first launch. And that's even before we factor in children. Just make all the kids adoptable. Like, no one has to get pregnant. This would then be the perfect game. The justification for the many paramours / one spouse thing in canon is that it's important to be allowed to play the field, get it, Fields of Mistria, before you settle down with one spouse. I think that it would be a better support of this whole socialism, community first mentality if they let us have a gaggle of spouses that we could rely on. But like, whatever. The only way to have multiple partners in Stardew Valley is through mods. And even then, it isn't perfect. Since Stardew and other farming sims don't really have a post-game, it's not quite right to claim that the way to beat this game is to get married and have babies. It's a completely optional aspect of this game, and many games like it. I just think it's worth mentioning that the finality of you have a family now. There's nothing else to do in this aspect of the game. It's a little basic. I know that everyone loves a happily ever after, but it really speaks to the limitations that a monogamist and often heteronormative lifestyle promises people. I am looking forward to the 1.0 release of Fields of Mistria to see how the gameplay changes with married life. I like being able to kiss your spouse in Stardew, but it sucks that Sebastian has to give up his dream of living in the big city, and Sam gives up the band. I hope that the spouses in Fields of Mistria still have the opportunities to be fulfilled, actualized people after we marry them. I'd hate to reinforce that whole prison thing. In conclusion, now, I know Fields of Mistria isn't perfect. Battle mechanics are a bit lacking. The armor is so overpowered that monsters in the mines just kind of feel like an annoyance rather than like a real threat, which can be fine if you don't really care about combat that much, but I think it would be fun to have a bit more challenge there. I do hate my farm animals eating through all of my grass and crops. That's fucking frustrating that I have to like cage them in. I would love for that to be patched out or have a different in-game solution to that. I think that would be fantastic. I feel comfortable being able to critique this game because the team behind it has been so open about their need for feedback. They understand that they're putting out an early access game that isn't going to be perfect, and they understand their own limitations and are very accepting of the community that they're trying to build and their opinions on what we want out of their game. I think that it's really refreshing. I know that Concerned Ape does a lot of that too, in listening to what the fans want while also still maintaining his artistic integrity. I think that's very admirable and a good thing. I really love that, and this just speaks to that both inside and outside of their game, NPC Studio is dedicated to this idea that people working together is what makes things great. They are living by the standards that they have set in the democratic socialist world of Mistria. Like, as a community, we can influence things that matter to us and improve them. I think that's wonderful. I don't know if Fields of Mistria will ever be able to break free from the shadow of Stardew Valley. I think that when the full game releases, we could take a shot every time Stardew is mentioned and end up in the hospital. I hope that people will be able to see past that first blush comparison and dig into a story full of life, heart, and genuine creativity. Fields of Mistria innovates on ideas birthed by its predecessors. It honors its roots and isn't trying to prove it's the better version of any of them. It knows exactly what it wants to be and has blossomed into a true evolution for the genre. Good story, great characters, a world full of magic and love. When real life is fraught with hustle culture, homelessness, poverty, inequality, homophobia, racism, substance abuse, hopeless dreams, and the destruction of communities, all in the name of chasing the dollar, Fields of Mistria tells you to relax, take your time. You are safe because we are all looking out for each other. No one is alone, and no one can do this on their own. So let's build a world we can be proud of together. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you hearing me out. I'm on Tumblr and Instagram, Avriel, on all platforms pretty much. Y'all are great. I'll catch you on the flip side.